All right, welcome to another episode of A Whiskey Kind of Day. My name is Don Amiche, as always. Gabriel, all the way in the super spreader city of the United States, Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, that,
man. I got a lot of light on me from the time change, but hopefully you can see me well.
well, I'm just happy you have power in Texas. So
Oh,
that's really all that matters at this point in time. What's up with your governor out there trying to get all political on the border down there?
I mean, man, listen.
I have a feeling that he's doing that to deflect from the fact that you guys didn't have power about 2 months ago.
Hey, man,
Because
that's
I haven't
politics,
seen
man.
Greg Abbott talk this much.
He's had a lot of whiskey kind of days here lately.
Yes, he is. Well, welcome to A Whiskey Kind of Day. This is where we talk about all the BS that happens in business. You just had something last week where you were sponsoring a major event in Dallas. HBCUs were having a baseball tournament, and two of the biggest HBCUs were out there, and they had to cancel one of the games. And you had so much money on the line when it comes to FUBU Mobile as sponsoring the event that you kind of had to kind of put it put plan B into action, which was you don't know what that was.
Man, listen, that's kind of part of being in business. You have to be ready to pivot, as is the phrase. You have to be ready to pivot no matter what happens. And this situation, it was just unfortunate, but it was a COVID-related situation. And you got to kind of, as I've said from the very beginning, I'd rather be safe than sorry, and I respect the fact that those teams was prepared to be safe and take care of their players and not expose anyone versus trying to push through these events and potentially cause more harm than good. So I respect that. It does not change the fact that it hurt like hell to know that all of that marketing energy was not utilized, but I'm just going to say this for now. Uh, Everything happens for a reason, and I hope this particular reason turns out and shines brighter and better for everyone involved. Can't say much about it right now, but hopefully, very very soon, we can talk about this. And
Yeah,
and my guest for today, he was one of the key people that was on this line with me, fighting through some of these challenges and pivoting right there with me. And we was actually going back and forward through this entire event, coaching each other on, cheering each other on. Because, man, listen, it's never fun when you have to make last minute moves and last minute changes, but it can be exciting, exhilarating when you know that you have like-minded people around you, and they're right there in the trenches with you, fighting through these things to make
yeah.
it work no matter what cause. And I'm gonna let him talk about it, but we put a saying together in the process. So he was like, "Hey man, listen, uh, rain or shine, we built for it." So that's what we did. We dug in and we pushed through, because at the end of the day, we know that we can push through these type of situations. So when you have to, you do. That's really what it is, man.
This episode today is about networking, and
Mhm.
you were at this big event that was out in Dallas that your FUBU Mobile sponsored. Did you get a chance to network at the event while you were out there?
Absolutely, absolutely. I met some amazing people, and I put this on a lot of posts that we do. And I know it may seem cliche sometimes, and it may seem like just a tagline, but I met some amazing people doing some amazing things that most cases you would never hear anything about. And that's kind of the beauty of getting out and networking, is you start to learn things and start to learn things about different industries that you quite frankly may never known existed. Case in point, this has nothing to do with this past weekend, but a long time ago I met a gentleman who was the agricultural liaison for Belize to
Oh
the United
wow!
States.
Oh wow!
And so his entire job was to negotiate um, trade for agricultural goods between Belize and the United States. And they paid him to live in both places. He had a house in the United States, he had a home in Belize, and they just paid him to sit back and just negotiate how much corn do the United States want to ship to Belize? How much potatoes or whatever those conversations were. I don't know the whole ideal of it, but it was mind blowing to know that someone was on a payroll to sit back and talk about moving produce from United States to Belize, and he looked like he had the most stressless life.
Well, when you get outside of the United States and you start getting into these Caribbean and Central American countries, the pace of life is a lot smaller. Belize is, where my family is from. The country has about 300,000 people out there. So it's just a slower pace of life, but they do need somebody in this country making sure that the flow of produce from Belize to the United States and from the United States to Belize is moving very smoothly, so
Yeah,
that there are kinks in the supply chain, so that both countries can get what they need. But that's dope that you actually met him and got a chance
absolutely.
to network with him. And if you ever get into the produce industry, you got
Like,
to connect.
yeah, like who does that? Like, and that's really the beautiful thing about networking, because you just never know who you're going to run into, what type of business they're in, what kind of contributor they can be to whatever it is that you're doing, and a lot of times it may not present itself in the first 5-10 minutes of a conversation. It may not even present itself in the first 5-10 weeks of a conversation, but you just never know what someone can add as a value to whatever it is that you're doing. And so networking is a great asset to build your net worth
Ooh.
by just communicating with people about the things that you're doing in your field. And miraculously, something's going to come along and boom, this person that you met 5 months ago, 5 years ago, is now the perfect person to do business with, the perfect person to talk to be a liaison for whatever it is you got going on at that exact moment. And it translates to a game-changing business situation for you.
Well,
And
before we bring in our first guest and we talk about the art of networking, because
mhm,
this is something that's very important that a lot of people in business need to do, and it's not easy. It's
mhm.
not easy because you gotta go against your own insecurities, putting yourself out on the line, saying hello to people, and just putting it all out there. But that, like the old saying, closed mouths don't get fed. But before we get into that, what are you drinking out there in the and we got to give a shout out to the cigar lounge that so
Yes,
graciously hosts you every time we do an episode out here in Dallas Fort Worth.
absolutely, man. I'm at the Attaché Cigar Lounge off of Camp Wisdom Road in the South Sector of Dallas, and I'm absolutely a fan of Jason and Denise. They're like family now. They've allowed me to come in and do this, and it's a partnership. One of the campaigns that we actually run this past weekend was called Stronger Together. Coming out of the pandemic, one of the things that I learned was a lot of the stuff that we did during the pandemic, streamlining the things that we could do. It really took a community of people to come online and say, hey, we're going to stay safe, but we have to continue to move forward. How do we do that? And these guys was just one of those people and businesses that sat back and we thought through the pandemic and figured out a way to keep moving forward. So I'm gracious that they allowed me to come here and promote them and promote us and promote what we do and promote businesses and entrepreneurship. But shout out to them. I'm drinking Gentleman Jack, and I am
Gentleman.
drinking a
Now, why do they call it Gentleman Jack? What is that?
because I'm a gentleman. What kind of question is that?
I'm just asking.
Simple enough.
I mean, is that it? I mean, I'm drinking sake.
Okay.
I've got my little sake thing here.
Again with the pinky, man. Again with the pinky. What is with you and this pinky? Like,
Great vintage.
gotcha. Hey, man, listen. That's if that's what you have to do, man. That's what you have to do.
That's
So,
what you have to do. Oh, wow.
yeah, man. Listen, you got to stick your pinky up and enjoy your drink. So you stick your pinky up. I'm gonna leave you alone. I promise this is gonna be the last time today that I'm gonna say something.
Very good. We got a great guest today, Calvin Whitaker, who is a promoter in Dallas Fort Worth, and he promotes one of the biggest events in the DFW, the Greek Picnic, which started in Atlanta and then he moved it over to Dallas.
Yep. I say he is what you call a social marketer. He really focused on bringing people together, being able to market to people about things that people enjoy to do socially. So he's a strong marketing person, mindset. He understands people. He studies people and their actions. And I've sat back for a few years and just watched this man move and grow. And I'm an absolute fan of how he moves and brings people together. And it really is a testament to his skill and his ability to network and bring people together, man. And that's really the foundation of this show today, is having a full understanding of what it takes to bring people together, to network and utilize your network once you have it, to build something on it, man. And he's done just that, man. So yeah, absolutely great guy to talk to.
Hey, Calvin, how are you, man?
Hey, brothers, how you doing, man? Gabe, how you
What's
doing,
up,
man?
man?
Good to see you, friend. Thanks for having me.
Gabe, do
Brother
you not know
Don,
any other
Amiche,
people
thanks
other
for
than the
having me.
alphas? Is that it? You only know alphas?
Hey, man.
Oh, man.
You don't know any Kappas or the Q dogs or anything like that, or Noops? None of
Hey,
that. Just
man, listen. I'm not saying that all great men are alphas. I'm just saying all alphas are great men, and it just so happens. Um, when I call on people to jump on this show and talk about some of the amazing things that they do, it tends to be men of Alpha Phi Alpha that answers the call.
all right, all
That's
right.
not my fault.
Listen. I'll take the knowledge wherever it comes from, whether it's an alpha or a delta or kappa or sigma theta or whatever. I don't care where it comes from.
You're just gonna
I'm
mess up all that
just
stuff.
asking if you diversified your Greekness.
Well, it's kind of hard to do since I cherish the letters that I wear, and I always want to push forward with what we do as an organization. But nothing against the other organization. It's just that, hey, man, when I call upon them, I mean, listen, Dr. Moses Chisholm, he's an amazing brother of Kappa Alpha Psi. So, hey, there you go. That's a variation.
All right,
Yeah,
we
it
got
is.
something there. So, Calvin, thanks for joining this show. This show is all about networking, and Gabe's been saying that you do it best. And let's talk about the art of networking.
Wait. I want to
Yeah.
ask, what is in that thermal that you're drinking?
Oh yeah.
Brother. Hey, as you know, I'm in Jackson, Mississippi right now at a
Okay.
day event, produced by a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. So when I tell you the bros of Alpha Phi Alpha are holding it down right now at 7:12 in the afternoon in Jackson, Mississippi, the brothers are holding it down.
And
Because
is anybody? Can
I
I? Is
love my
anybody wearing?
brother, my brother Gabe. I stepped into this car away from this day production to do this event and represent again for the
Hey,
brothers of Alpha Phi
Can
Alpha.
I
Because
ask?
we versatile.
Is anybody wearing a mask down there? Anybody got any masks on?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh,
You can't get into this facility without a mask.
oh,
And
okay.
we are and we are in Mississippi and like in Texas, they open. But we are masked up and we doing
Okay.
what we gotta do.
hey, man, much respect to Calvin, man. He last week, and as things was unfolding, man, he was a very avid personnel to push the
Yeah.
fact that we needed to stay conscious of the mask. And man, this guy was bouncing all over the place. He inspired me. Well, I was like, I didn't feel like I was doing enough. So
Yes.
he always got his
Yes,
mask.
brothers are wearing this mask. But yeah, man, thanks for having me. I want to give a shout out to Gabe because I've known Gabe, man, almost 15, 16 years. I was astonished and starstruck about what Gabe did when he was first on BT, first season of College Hill. And the
Wow.
fact that he was on that show and represented, and he was a brother. I was starstruck, when he was from Dallas, and I had been to Dallas 2 or 3 years. This man came to my home. He fellowshiped with me. He met my then wife and my kids.
Oh wow.
And we networked and we connected. And then he went to Cali, did his thing, and came back. And I was still starstruck. I was like, man, this is a good brother, man. And he came back, he started his own business. And I wanted to be associated with anything he was associated with because I know he was a good dude and a product of an HBCU institution and from Dallas, a city that I had adopted to my home as my home. So when he called on me about what he was doing in this show, I couldn't say no, and so I couldn't be more than happy to be here and support his endeavor and to be here today.
Well,
Absolutely.
he says you are a master networker. Can you talk about the art of networking? Because
Yeah.
obviously you have this big event in Dallas, which is the
Right.
Greek picnic weekend.
Sure.
What does it take to be a successful networker or to network successfully? I should say.
I think the fundamental key, and this gets lost, is that you have to know how to build relationships with people, right? Communicating, understanding their business needs, be able to connect with that person on an individual basis and a personal basis. Know what drives that individual. When I moved to Dallas 15, 16 years ago, there was no Greek picnic. There was no strong emphasis on Greek life. I'm born and raised in the city of Atlanta. So the black culture, the black HBCU, the black philosophy, and black life, Greek life is very, very
But
strong.
that's the mecca. That's the mecca of blackness, I guess you
It
could
is.
say.
It is. So when I moved to Dallas, I was starstruck on how lackluster that was, on how unprogressive black folk was. Education, politics, technology, jobs, hiring, Greek life. And so
Wow.
when I moved to Dallas, I noticed that void. And I was like, man, you got all these black people here, and they're not, so in my opinion, they weren't progressive as I thought they should be, as in Atlanta or Houston or in LA or New York. And I looked around and I was like, what the hell is going on? So I had this epiphany to start this Greek networking focus of this Greek picnic, where we did a career fair, we did a community service project. We brought Greeks together that wouldn't normally be together.
Wow.
We started an alumni Greek show that's been going on for 19 years. We started the Greek picnic that's been going on for 15 years. And so it highlighted businesses. We do the event in the south sector of Dallas, in Bonton, an area that Gabe knows, that people really stray away from. But now
No, absolutely.
they're doing a lot of gentrification in that area. Money's being pumped into that area. And so it's a very, very crucial focal point. But it was hard. Number one, I'm black. Number one, I'm Greek. I wasn't active in my organization. And I wasn't from Dallas. So they was like, who does this dude think he is creating this again? He ain't from Dallas. It's all about the money, dealing with all those people. But
So what was the first thing you did then? So you saw the void, you got here,
right.
You knew this would be big, you knew it was big in Atlanta. You knew that if I just bring it, the people will come. What did you do? What was the first thing that you started to do to build awareness of the event and invite people out?
Yeah, the first thing I did, I talked to some of the key stakeholders, members of the organizations that were Greek, right? The local NPHCs in Dallas and Fort Worth, and kind of understanding what their vision was and what their focal point was, and how to really, get this event to the forefront. And at first, because Dallas wasn't progressive, I got a lot of pushback, right? And that inspired a little doubt. But then I started talking to administration officials on these college campuses, started talking to undergrad Greeks, kind of understanding what their need was. And then really talking to local politicians in the southern sector of Dallas, understanding where would be the best area in this event from a safety standpoint, what community impact, would be beneficial to that area. Right? It took a lot of time, energy, a lot of personal investment into this particular area, because Bonton is an area that was really dangerous at the time that a lot of black people just didn't venture into. But I came in with the philosophy is, if I can't be safe around my own people, who can I be, or who can I feel comfortable around, right? I wasn't going to do this event in a Plano or an Allen or Frisco, because we all know what would have happened, right? And so it was very important to keep our money black, keep our community black, keep our investment black. And so I partnered with individuals who were progressive, who were like-minded, like myself. Some were from Dallas and some were not, but they saw the big picture. They saw what was going on in Houston. They saw the Greek picnic in Atlanta, and they wanted that for Dallas, but they didn't have the certain tools and resources nor the drive to do so. So it was partnering with individuals, like-minded individuals who went to HBCU institutions like Gabe and like other individuals who saw the vision. And it was a lot of work. And now I can say 12, 13 years, it's an extremely branded event. I have benefited. The community has benefited. But I think building those key relationships, and once people see your true heart, your true intent, after that happens, and then it all truly begins to pay off. But
you talk about hitting the ground and reaching out to people. How did you build up the ability to go out and reach out and to talk to people?
Let me say this real quick. So, and he pointed out some things. Translating that to entrepreneurship, one of the big factors entrepreneurs need to understand is you have to have a better understanding of who you're selling to in order to sell whatever it is you're doing. And he just kind of gave a roadmap to understand that. He went and started asking questions to all these constituents in different sectors of what he considered a void. Whether it was businesses, where it was nonprofit institutes, all these different development type of agencies and that flourished and put into these communities, but weren't really having a major impact. He started asking them questions. What is it that you feel is missing? What is it that you feel can be done better? And from that birth this Greek inspired event that's really not about Greeks. he used the power of the Divine Nine to create an event that empowered the community, that empowered the Black people. And so he understood by asking those questions, he was able to figure out what was the void that was needed to be filled. And one of those was the appearance of positive Black energy. And off top, if you put Greeks in a room together, there's going to be a camaraderie and a rivalry all at the same time. At our age, when we was in college, it may have been different, but at our age, there's going to be a camaraderie and a rivalry at the same time that really pushes the narrative of positive energy, pushing each other, elevating each other, and just from that alone, whether it's just a stroll off, coming together, barbecuing, automatically that's going to be a show of power. And I think that's really the key thing that he was able to do is ask those questions and then start with the show of power, because that was really needed, a positive image. And in Bonton, listen, man, he said Bonton. I don't know if you really understand what he's saying.
Okay, where is Bonton? Is that by Oak Cliff?
Well, no. Bonton is in South Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You have South Dallas. Oak Cliff is Oak Cliff. But South Dallas has been kind of the untouched roughness of Dallas. And Bonton is the roughest of the untouched. So to say that you brought that into, but when I was growing up, there was one thing you didn't do. You didn't ride through Bonton. That's what you didn't do.
Was
during the day, during the night, during the weekend, 5 a.m., 5 p.m., it didn't matter. You don't ride through Bonton because they will block you in and you might not come out. I grew up off of Bear Street and Sparks.
Yes, sir.
Right around the corner from Bonton. So listen, I got a lot of stories, but hey, this ain't the platform for that.
Let's talk on that. Did you have to go into that neighborhood and talk to the people that lived in that neighborhood and let them know what you were planning to do in that neighborhood?
Yes and no. So Gabe knows my partner, Charles. We call him City. He's from Dallas. I knew nothing about Bonton, but Charles was like, "Yo, we're gonna do this at this event. It's called Rochester Park. They've renamed it to William Bill Blair Jr. Park."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The first 2 years, there was a project right next to the park in elementary school. Both of them have been since demolished. I knew nothing about the neighborhood, the historical significance of the neighborhood. I wanted a nice park in a Black area. And my ex-wife at the time is from Dallas. And she was like, "Where you having this picnic?" "Oh, no, I ain't coming." And ain't nobody else is either.
Wow.
Once I learned about the historical significance of the park, I said, wow, I get it. I said, but you know what? We're going to have it over there. And if I got to bring in 10, 12 Dallas police officers, that's what I got to do. Because it goes back to the point. If you can't be safe around your own people, who can you be safe around? I'm from Atlanta. Hold on. I'm from Atlanta. I used to go to the Atlanta picnic 10, 15 years, which is on the campus of Morris Brown. And if you've ever been to the Atlanta University Center, it's in the middle of the hood. So you got 10 to 20, 15,000 people that are coming to the middle of the hood that don't know they're coming to the hood. So my thing was, if you coming to a Greek picnic in Dallas, you're coming to a Greek picnic in Dallas. You're not coming to, you don't know if you going to the hood, this, that, and the other. You're coming to the Greek picnic in Dallas. And I've been doing this Greek picnic 12, 13 years. Never been a fight. Never been a shootout. No, we ain't never been on the 10 o'clock news. We had one instance where there was a little scuffle with the Kappas. Go figure. Other than that, nothing has never happened.
Wow.
We have security out there, and there's no kind of, bad ghetto element. Never. And
I feel some shade going to my noobs, okay?
Hold on, Captain, we lost you.
No,
We
I'm
lost
back.
you. Oh, there you
Okay,
go.
hold on. I have
There you go.
thought about moving it out of there for whatever reasons, money, financial, big exposure. But I said no. We're gonna keep it there. And
Well,
you
how was the
know,
community received you? How was that community received you? I mean, did you go out and
it
talk
was
to
it was yeah, absolutely. We went out to the community, we talked to the councilmen of that area, let them know where we were coming. We did a community service project at a nearby farm in that area where
Wow.
they actually employ some people in the community or whatever, Bonton Farms. And so it's been a great, great,
Yeah.
great, great partnership. And so there's a lot of gentrification and stuff in there, and they're doing in that area. It's really kind of eye opening. I mean, I've been doing this since 2008, 2009. Here it is about to be 2021.
Oh, we lost. We
We
lost
lost
you.
you.
We lost you. We can't hear you. There you go.
Now, okay,
There you go.
yeah,
There you
my girl's calling, but I'm gonna keep talking. Probably
go.
like,
Okay.
well, yeah. But I can't wait to go back 2022 and see what that area looks like because we haven't done a green picnic in 2 years. But
Right.
yes, we've definitely partnered with the community. You know, there's a definite amount of focus and engagement and money and
Mhm.
resources, you know, that are pumped into the area. But yes, it was a challenge first starting out. But now they know, hey, the green picnics in South Dallas, we're giving back to the community. You know, we're employing people, and it's all been positive. But building those relationships with those key stakeholders, the politicians, the mayors, the councilmen, and the Greeks and small business owners have been very vital to this event being
That's
successful.
beautiful. That's very beautiful.
So you talk about going around and talking to a lot of people, getting them involved in the event. How do you build up the ability to go out and to talk to people? Because for some people, that's not an easy thing to do. Some people are shy. Some people are like,
Some people being done. Dunn is very shy. He doesn't really like to talk to people. So
Well,
no, listen. If you understood the amount of people that come up to me and talk to me and want to just
he's
it's
a
just
he's a superstar. He's shy.
no, I've worked in media my whole life. It's just you got to understand it's overwhelming when everybody wants a piece of you, and it's just
yeah,
I'd rather just stay in the background and disappear.
I'm doing an interview. I'll call you right back.
so So how did you build up the ability to talk to people, to reach out to these people, to sit there and say, you know what, I'm going to go reach out to the councilmen, I'm going to reach out to the community leaders, I'm going to reach out to the other Greeks. How did you overcome the ability of, like, you know what, maybe the negative impressions in your mind of, are they going to shut me down and they're not going to take my call, like how did you build up the gregariousness to go out there and say, hey, listen, I got an event, I got an idea, I want your help?
Well, again, number one, you have to know the right people, right? Put me
Mm-hmm.
in contact with so and so we can do this presentation. The current deputy mayor is an apple. I forget his name. So, you know, we've done several presentations with him about the Greek picnic, what it looks like, what's our goal is, you know, and understanding what the future is and what the vision is, and why we're doing this event. I was always a behind the scenes type of guy, right? And so I was very fearful in trying to getting out there. But as this event grew and the cost of this event grew, I was like, man, we're gonna need some sponsorship, we're gonna need some funding. So it got to a point where, like, this event is too big for us to try to just rely on, you know, my job and our normal resources. I need to partner with people like Gabe, and I need to partner with the media, sports figures, to really understand, like, man, this thing is getting big. We want a lot of people to benefit, but we need to get it in front of the right dignitaries, so the right people can benefit. And so for me, that was a huge initiative and groundbreaking point in getting this event to the next level. So it really wasn't about being fearful. It was about, man, we got to get this thing, we got to get this done. We can't do it the same way we did it anymore. And so that's why I'm really excited about 2022, because after coming off this event that me and Gabe just did, we were kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul to make sure it happened. So on an event like the Greek Picnic coming up in 2022, I know what it takes. I know what it's gonna take
Mm-hmm.
because I've done it for over a decade. So please believe when I tell you, I'm gonna be knocking on doors, people like Gabe and yourself and people that have strong followings and corporations and say, hey, I got something for you. This is going to be great. People are ready to get out from a community service impact, volunteering, education, networking, where you're all going to benefit. And so I'm truly, truly excited about those possibilities right now because God has given me those gifts from a marketing standpoint and being able to bridge with those people.
You talk about reaching out to people and bringing them into the event, whether through sponsorships or whatnot. How do you go about like convincing them to come out to that this is a good event? Like how do you get them to see the value in that this is something that needs to be a partner with?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, number one, you have a sponsorship deck, right? You look at the financials. You tell me how many impressions on their website, how many, what's the demographics of the people that are coming, their spending power, right? Their economic power, their demographics, understanding how their business is going to benefit. Maybe they're Greek affiliated. Maybe they're part of an alumni association, right? There's got to be something that piques their curiosity. Maybe they have a child or daughter that went to an HBCU or that's a part of a Greek affiliation. Or a market that they can't tap, but through your resource, they feel like they have a stronger connection with, right? So you want to leverage that. That's the most important piece. And while I know many people, that's my leveraging piece, right? I'm a bridge. I'm a connector. Corporately, I worked in the field of human resources, right? I employ people. I hire and fire, but at the same time, I mentor and I establish and I seek to diversify certain situations. So I think it's an encompassing of all in that and knowing what you bring to the table and what piques your curiosity. So right now here in 2021, right, we're moving to 22. Everything is happening at lightning speed, right? E-commerce is a big thing. I want it hot. I want it fast. I want it now. I want it correct. So when I think about the Greek picnic and I'm not showing everything that I do in 2020, 2022, it has to be digital. It has to be engaging.
Wow.
It has to be alluring. People have to see it. They don't want to read it. They want to see it. And that's the way you're going to be able to capture that audience, that click, that customer, that client, to get them engaged. And so we're doing a live video now. People want to know who's behind the Great Picnic. They don't want to read about it. Okay, he's an alpha. He does this, does that. He travels, this, that, and the other. They want to be connected to the consumer and the business owner, and they want to know. And so I think that pulled me from behind the camera and behind the stage, and I had to learn how to step from behind that because I was always the kind of behind the scenes guy. This evolution, this age has taught me in order to succeed and to be profitable, you got to step behind the camera. And it's not about being popular and this, that, and the other. It's about appealing to your audience, your base, and your customer and your clientele, and building that relationship in a virtual environment.
Let me ask you this. So we're talking about building relationships and starting relationships and being able to grow on that. So let me ask you, in your experience in networking, you walk into a room. You had to assess the environment. You had to work the room. You had to walk up and negotiate and enter into conversations with people. What are some of the things that you did to engage the people in the room to be able to network with them?
Repeat that question real quick.
What are some of the things that you had to do in order to engage the people in the room and network with them?
I think the first thing is that you have to listen.
Okay.
Understanding what their wants and needs are.
Yeah.
And understanding what drives them and motivates them.
Right.
Right. Like case in point, where I work. Right. I have an HR director. I have a manager that I work with. They're all about financials and numbers. Right. They want to see the data. How the company's going to benefit. You already know them, but you need to connect with them on another space, right? My company, Kubota Tractor Corporation, they sponsored the HBCU event. But before they wrote that check, I had to connect with them in a different way. Yeah, they know Calvin, he's a great employee, but how is this event gonna benefit Kubota? If we write this check, how many college students is this gonna get them in front of? How many internships or applications are they gonna get? What type of exposure is the company going to get that that normally they wouldn't get exposed to, right? So it's all about finding that fine line and that creative niche with that person you're marketing to, whether it's an employer, whether it's a business partner, whether it's a neighbor. If you're selling something, you gotta understand what makes that person tick. If you're building that relationship, right? Because it's
So,
all about dollars and cents. It's all about numbers and making particular things matter.
do you have a certain technique that you use entering those conversations that kind of diffuse the person across from you or engage them? Do you have a certain technique that you use?
Brother, at the end of the day, man, I think it's honesty, right?
Right.
It's straight up honesty about what they're getting, what they're not getting, who you are, what you represent, and your true passion. Coming
Mhm.
off this HBCU event that you and I did, I
Yeah.
told my employers I'm passionate about the upward mobility of the minority community and getting Black folks hired and exposing
Right on.
HBCUs and putting us to the next level. We took a mighty blow in 2020, COVID, all the social unrest. So I told them about how I was feeling, how Black folk are feeling, how HBCUs are suffering,
Wow.
and why they need to divest into HBCUs culturally, economically. We need jobs too. And most importantly, man, we need you guys to listen, right?
Hmm.
And then we want you, we're going to expose to you how you're going to benefit. You know, I think they have to have that honesty piece. And then you have to show them how they're economically going to benefit, socially, culturally, and put them in a space, whatever business that you're entertaining, that they've never benefited from.
Wow.
I think transparency is very, very important. You're always trying to sell. But I think the beauty of being honest of what you're selling is the most important factor
Wow.
at the end of the day.
Have
And
you
so,
have you well, have you run into some no's that you've turned into yeses?
you know what? Absolutely, I have.
Hmm.
And it was one of those things where I learned from it. I had to go back and clean up some things, brush up the presentation skills, dot my I's, cross my T's, understanding the financials a little bit more. But I didn't look at it as a defeat. I looked at it as an opportunity, to go back and to improve my presentation skills or my analytical skills. And I looked at it in this way. You really don't need a bunch of yeses. You really only need one good yes, right?
That's
Hmm.
all you
Just like
need.
when
Just
you're applying, just like when you're applying for a job, right? You can only really work one corporate job. And so, at one point I was out of work for damn near 6-7 months. And my people were keeping me up, motivated, my parents and my good friend. She was like, Calvin, all you really need is one yes. Out of all the no's, just remember you only need one yes. And she said, watch this. When you get that one yes, next thing you know, you have about 3, 4, 5 of them. You know how that happens. So I thought about that when I was doing this presentation to my employer about this event that I came off of. They could have came back and said, no, we can't do 3,000. Maybe we can do one. But, they came back and said, yes, and this is what we're going to do. And so you have to think in that mindset, anytime you go into, in a situation like that.
So let me ask you this, because this show is called Whiskey Kind of Day, and so we talk about some of the harder moments and what you have to sit back and have a drink on some things. Have you ever had a situation in your industry of networking and bringing people together where you felt like somebody was an asset, somebody was a benefit to be around you and be a part of your space, but most cases they were toxic?
Ooh. You know what? No,
You ain't got to
unfortunately,
name
I
names.
haven't. No. I haven't had anybody that was around a marketing space or an event or project that was toxic. I think if anything, I just reevaluated what their role was
Hmm.
and what their role was going to be going forward, right? Maybe they weren't good at a particular task, and I trusted them to do this, that, and the other, and they just couldn't execute because it wasn't their strong suit. You know, like when we started the Greek Picnic, an event of that magnitude, man, I trusted a lot of people with certain things. And because they was, you know, it was so big and it required a lot of details, I had to
Mm-hmm.
pull back the reins and was like, nah, I can't. This is too big of a detail. I can't trust you with.
Well, know who you're working with. Know what their limitations
Yeah,
and what their strengths are.
exactly. I learned quick. I learned what my strengths, weaknesses were, and I was like, okay, I got this, and this. You good at that? Boom. Let's tag team it out. And then once I learned, you know, we were good from there. But no, nothing really toxic. Just learning how people work, learning how I work, and for the most part, man, it's been a blessing since then. And so I thank
That's
God for giving me those opportunities and those lessons.
that's amazing. I was actually I caught a quote from DMX today where he says, "I always trust people uh, to be who they are,"
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm probably messing this up. Trust them to be themselves and know that you can see them well. And essentially, man, I've always been an advocate of saying, you know, when you're networking and when you're in business, um, trust people to be who they are. You don't
yeah,
necessarily have to cut people off, but understand who they are and understand how you have to operate with them. You know, yeah,
right,
this person may be X, Y, and Z. They may be that, or this and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, everybody has their issues. Everybody has their things, their isms, if you will. And you just have to kind of figure out how to work with people with their good and their bads. And the fact that I see who you are, I just have to figure out how I can operate with you in that space. You know, I don't have to
right.
cut you off. I just have to know and realize that that's who you are. That's what you're about. And now I have to operate in that capacity to understand that I use you for what you are. And being in business, you know, a lot of times being under this brand of FUBU, um, I see that often. People are in my space with
Hmm.
the idea that they're going to use me, and I have to assess that. Okay, hey, that's what you are. That's who you are. I get it. You want to use this. You want to use me to use this brand to do what you need to do. But I have to make sure and figure out that that's who you are, and then I have to operate knowing that's who you are. I ain't got to cut you off. I just got to operate knowing that's who you are. And I think
Yeah,
that's a really big part of networking is understanding that everybody has a value. It may not be the way you want it to be. It may not be the cleanest. It may not be the nicest. Everybody has a value, good, bad, or ugly. You just got to figure out how to operate with everyone in that space. Now, if it is one of those situations where you have to cut them off, that may be the way you have to operate with them. You just have to cut them off. Not saying that's not a case, but at the end of the day, knowing these people, knowing who you are, accepting who they are, and being able to move forward is a golden part about being in business and networking. So I think that's great, brother.
I want to talk about your success with networking. So you started this idea, you had the idea, you start reaching out to people. How long was it before you started seeing that the networking is paying off and providing fruit? You know, how long, how much work did you have to put in to where you saying, you know what, these people I'm reaching out to, I'm getting them involved and they're
right.
making the event bigger and they're actually, this is actually working.
Man, I think probably year 4 or 5, it really started to
Oh,
pay off.
wow. Wow.
Yeah,
So
we started.
consistency is the big lesson from that.
Yeah, yeah, we started to get national attention, really regional attention. People were coming from Austin and Houston. People wanted to use this event, you know, mayors, politicians to speak to young students, right? Getting people out registered to vote. Artists wanted to come to perform at this event, like nationally known artists, right? Because they saw what was happening in Houston and Atlanta. And so I was like, hey, this, you want to come up? This is what it's gonna cost you. This is, this is the platform. This is kind of what I needed. And so all of the hard work and the groundwork, getting out, going to college campuses, traveling to conventions, and talking to those individuals. It was at that point, it was like, man, I really, really got something. And so this event happens once a year, but it's really like a 6 to 9 month planning process, like even in the off season.
Oh, wow.
With the marketing and the PR and the recap and the website, pictures, photo development.
Wow.
People want to use the name on just about everything you can think of. And so I had to be real particular about how I use the name Dallas Greek Picnic Weekend, who was I gonna let be associated with it, because I didn't want to tank the event, right? I didn't want it to become something negative, or I hate to use the word ghetto, or something that was just I had a negative connotation to it, right?
Well, let me stop you for a second. That's
happen.
a very important. That's a very important thing when it comes to a brand that you build up.
Yes.
Of who you allow to associate with it.
Exactly.
Because once it's out of your hands, all it takes is one bad move on somebody else's part to tarnish the whole thing.
Exactly. I mean, we've seen what happened with Philly Greek. We've seen what happened to the the Capitol Beach Party down in Galveston. We've seen what happened with Freaknik in Atlanta, right? The wrong things happen, the wrong people get involved, and I was like, coming up live on Fox 4 News, Dallas Greek Picnic, Council Whitaker. No, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir. And so that's why this year it was like, yo, COVID almost over. You gonna have it this year? I'm like, no. I'm gonna give everybody a good full year to get vaccinated, because they're not gonna say Dallas Greek Picnic super spreader event. Anybody got no mask on? No. We good. We gonna wait till next year. We're better, clear. I ain't that hard up for no money and this, that, and the other. It's not that serious, right? But you're absolutely right. I had to be very cautious, because a lot of people want to be involved with DGP for the right reasons and for the wrong reasons, right? And I'm 41, 42 years old. Been in this Greek game 22 years. So I'm very cautious about who I involve, who I let it get attached to, who, what, where, why, and why, right? I'm not bent on a dollar. I'm more bent on branding and doing things the right way. So that's how I fell into it. And when I pass it on to to these youngsters, that's how I'm gonna leave it. And so it's very important. Very important.
That goes back to early on in the season, Don, when we was talking about protecting the brand. Man, you just gotta you gotta protect the brand, man, and make sure that everything that you do, you gotta have that foresight to look down the road and say, hey, man, is this person going to carry my flag or and in the right capacity, or just if anybody is associated with, how do we navigate those negatives if they do come up? You just got to be prepared to navigate those things, man, and absolutely, man, just you got to protect that brand.
Well, this goes back to that conversation where you were in the band and you were doing. There was a news story that had nothing to do with you, and the news people came up to you and asked you for a comment, and your band leader was like, "What are you doing?"
Technically, it had something to do with me because I was in the accident. I was in the accident with the state sheriff or whatever the case may be, but I had a band shirt on at the time. So, yeah, it was one of those situations. But it does speak to that exact point that you just gotta be very leery when you're building something, specifically when the whole point of what you're building is to have a positive impact. You got to be very protective of who's part of that positive impact. I can't tell you how many times I've had people come to me and say, "Hey, man, I got this artist, this rap artist, or this dance artist, or this model, and they, I want them to, to model your club, model your label, or something like this. They want to be an influencer." And at the end of the day, man, hey, you put on this shirt or you put on this brand and you do whatever you do to drive traffic. I always ask people two things. When you drive traffic to social media, how does that translate to driving traffic to my website? How does that translate to sales, first and foremost? And just for an example, if you are a model and majority of the time you're posing half naked, how does that translate to people buying cell phones?
Right, you're going to get eyeballs.
Yeah, how much it looks.
What's the conversion rate on that?
What is the conversion rate on that? Because at the end of the day, ain't nobody looking at you because you got a cell phone in your hand. They're looking at you because you're half naked. Listen, if that's the case, I mean, that's an example. I don't want anybody to get upset like we talking bad about somebody in their social media IG career. Right. I'm just speaking reality when it comes to marketing and actual translation between what you're putting out there as far as marketing and transitioning that to an actual sale. We have to ask those questions all the time, and we have to protect the brand in doing so, because there's a lot of different ways you can get in front of people.
Yeah.
But what is the ultimate cause and effect behind who and what you do to get in front of people? And it could be damaging down the road. So
And
you have to look at all aspects.
what's the best way for you to get in front of people for
What's
to
the
get your
best way?
message out and get a return on investment? We're talking with Calvin Whitaker, who's the who brought the Dallas Greek or the Greek picnic to Dallas Fort Worth when he moved here over 10 years ago. Where do you see yourself network? And we're talking about the art of networking also, and how he's took this event from zero to a major success in Dallas. Where do you see yourself taking this event in the future? Like, can you make it any bigger than what it is? Can you reach out to Coca-Cola? Can you reach out to I don't know, Tesla?
The world.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to.
And how do you see yourself reaching out to these people to get them to knock on the door because a lot of times we see these big corporations, but we don't know first person to get to holler at.
I think we gotta be aggressive, and we gotta open our mouths, right? Coming off this event I just did with Kubota, my company, with the HBCU, in the middle of the pandemic, we gotta open our mouths, right? My network is large. Yes, in the middle of a pandemic, my network is huge. I know a bunch of our frat brothers. AT&T headquartered in Dallas. Toyota's headquartered in Dallas. The Dallas Cowboys, Texas Rangers. We've got Greeks, non-Greeks inside of these organizations that are ready to not only invest in HBCUs, but ready to invest at Black events. But if we don't know and we don't open our mouths, we leave hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table. The NBA just invested millions of dollars into HBCUs, right? The NFL is doing the same thing. MLB is about to do something real big here in Dallas. So the time is now. And so really, I've been sleeping even before the pandemic on what Dallas Greek Picnic can be. Like, the Atlanta Greek Picnic is huge. He brings 15,000, 20,000 people here. Atlanta is a wholly different market. Dallas can be just as big, if not bigger. New Black people who got money, HBCUs, PWIs, are moving to Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, as we speak, every day of the minute. Right here, very second, somebody Black and prominent, a millionaire, just moved to the DFW Metroplex. But if we don't get out there and network and open our mouths and put together a valid presentation about what's happening, about what's going on right now, then we'll never take advantage of these opportunities. People like Gabe moving back to Dallas from LA or Alaska got money to spend, ready to spend and invest in their people. But if they're not presented with an idea or something that sparks their eye, they're gonna go about their business and keep money in their pocket. So please believe, when 2022 runs around, I'm hollering at every major corporation here in the Metroplex and saying, hey, we got an event coming up in South Dallas. Whether you're a mobile network carrier, a social media company, or whatever, because we know Black folks are on social media 24/7. We got to get in front of those people. There's no reason why Dallas can't be the next Atlanta, Houston, LA, London, when it comes to marketing and promotions. We have the largest polarized franchise in the Metroplex. Why we ain't in front of Mr. Jones over there? Why we ain't doing an HBCU grid night at Jerry's World like we do at the Mavs area?
Can we lay out a roadmap for, let's say somebody's watching this right now and they are trying to start an event like what you did with the Greek Picnic, or maybe start a business, or maybe just they have an idea. What's the first thing? What's the first step they need to do to start making this happen?
Number one, have a vision, have a business plan, know the demographics of your area, right, and understanding what's thriving in that area and what gets people attention. I'll give you a prime example. I live in the Louisville area. I flew at a spot in the colony called Cigar International, right? I don't really smoke cigars on the regular, but the bros do it every now and then. And we were patroning that spot the Sunday after our HBCU event, Gabe. Sunday night, packed. Guess who was mostly in that place? Spending money.
Cool.
Black folk. Why don't we have our own cigar bar on that level in North Dallas in the colony? Why are we giving our money to Tom?
It's not in North Dallas, but hey, we are right here.
North Dallas, the colony south. Why don't we have a facility on that level on our side of town, or that side of town that we can just patronize and put money in our pocket? So understand what the vision is, and understand the demographic and the driving economics in your area. I saw 12, 15 years ago that Greek life wasn't important in Dallas. It wasn't influential on a social level like Atlanta, where it's shit to be Greek, excuse my language. But in Dallas, it wasn't relevant. It was about the Cowboys, sports, going out.
It is about the Cowboys. It's about
Greek life.
Jerry Jones
about
and the Cowboys. That's it.
That's it.
Don,
it's about sports.
Don is a real big Dallas Cowboys fan.
No, I'm an LA fan.
When you come to Atlanta, it's about black culture and hanging out, strip clubs, Atlanta University Center, Martin Luther King. And people ain't thinking about the Falcons. People ain't thinking about the Falcons or the Braves or the Hawks.
That's like, real, man.
It's a bunch of black empowerment here, mayors, bunch of beautiful black women, black people doing good, they thriving. That's what people think about when they think about Atlanta. They don't think about their sports teams. When you come to Dallas, it's about the Cowboys, right? So you have to know your environment and your element. And I wanted to make Greek life, black Greek life, relevant. And so why not present a Greek picnic that brings all the Greeks together, alumni, professionals, business owners, in one space, and provide them a marketplace to network and to thrive.
Wow.
And so once I saw what I had, I was like, man, if I put this together, I can retire off this. And some other people can, seriously, and some other people can benefit. The guy who does the event in Atlanta, if he don't make plus 300,000 off that event every year, I'm not sitting in this car talking to y'all. I can do this. If God gives me the right vision and talent, I can do the same thing.
Hey, man, you need an assistant. I'll be glad to work for you.
Man, brother, I'll be glad to help you, but it takes a lot of work, man, and awesome, trusting God. Yes, sir.
Wow. Anything of worth, man, takes hard work to get to it, man. So, and that's a really big part of networking. A lot of people think networking is just walking into a room talking to people, but it's actually talking with a purpose. Having a game plan, as you said. When you walk up to every person you walk up to, you got to have a game plan walking into that situation. How you introduce yourself, how you engage them. There's a lot of different factors that go into networking. It's more than just walking in a room and saying, hey, my name is such and such. This is what I do. What do you do? How can we make money together? There's a whole line of issues and things that you have to overcome in those few seconds of introducing yourself to someone that allows that person to open up to you to see if you even worthy of an additional 5 minutes of their time.
But I want to put something out too that I guess kind of an actionable thing that people can do is to take stock of their friends, family, and their own network that they have around them. Now, you guys are connected through the Greeks, right? The Alphas, So there's kind of like a thing where you guys will listen to another Greek that come to you. But people have everybody has their own little network of friends, associates, and maybe they could reach out to them to see how they could work together. How valuable is my own personal network in trying to help facilitate what I'm trying to do? Because a lot of times we don't think that we have people that may be able to help us around, because we interact with these people on such of a social level that we're not thinking about business.
So let me ask that question. And it really wasn't a question, but let me chime into that comment. I think when you're assessing your network, you have to understand, back to what we was talking about, you have to assess your network, understanding the people that are in your immediate network. I can't go to my cousin, who I know is a hardworking man supporting his family. He's not very lucrative financially, and be like, hey, man, can you contribute financially to X, Y, and Z? but I know that he's someone that's going to support me by coming out. He's going to be somebody that's going to post me on social media. So you have to be very conscious, again, knowing the person
But there's
that
still value there. There's still value in that.
so you have to know who you're selling to, again, to your own network. And the problem with that is I think a lot of people, when they start reaching out to their own network, they don't assess their network to understand who it is that they're talking to, and they rub them the wrong way. If every time I see you,
What do you mean by rub them the wrong way? What do you mean? Like you mean like hey support, shoot some money this way.
but every time I'm talking to you about support, I'm asking you for money, and money ain't your MO. Money ain't what moves you. Money ain't your thing. You don't have a whole lot of capital sitting down where I can keep asking you for money, and you're gonna be like, yeah, man, I'll support you. I'll throw a couple of dollars.
So what is it that I can't ask you for that you can't do?
But what can I ask you for? And that's the reality of when it comes to networking and dealing with people, assessing your network. You really got to dial in and say, hey, man, who am I talking to? How can they actually benefit me at the same time? How can what I'm doing benefit them? Because at the end of the day, if I'm also asking you to post a picture, an event, or whatever the case may be, what do you gain out of that? If I don't have anything that benefits you on your social media page, you may be one of those people that like commenting on crazy stuff. You like commenting and posting, comedic things on your page. You may not want to post what I have to post. So how do I figure out a way for that to be beneficial to you?
And that's looking at the relationship and seeing what do I have to offer you that is going to get you excited about helping me.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a great nugget, man. That's a great nugget. Like, look into your network, but what can you offer them so that they can help you back in return? Because there's value in every relationship you have. There's some type of value that can help you out. You just got to figure out what it is and how to monetize it, or how to give them value so that you get value back.
Absolutely, man.
Wow, that's a great talk. Well, Calvin, we don't want to hold you up from your day party, which seems to be turning into a night party.
Yeah, it's all good. Hey, yeah, I better get in. My girl, man, you like on this damn interview. It's all good.
Tell her you're dropping nuggets and you're helping the community. You networking right now.
Hey, she was working the door at this. She was working at the door at this event anyway. So she said, man, I'm conducting business and helping out my frat, and your business as well, man. Each one teach one. But I definitely appreciate the opportunity.
Yes,
where can they follow you and find about the Greek picnic? And I know we're at DFW Greek Picnic on Instagram. Where else?
Yeah, DFW Greek Picnic on Instagram. You can pull up on Facebook, Dallas Greek Picnic Weekend. Y'all already got it. Or go to DallasGreekPicnic.com. And then you just message me on Facebook, Calvin Whitaker. If you got any questions about anything that I'm involved in, about any of my events, networking opportunities, I do PR marketing as well. I have an e-blast list as well. If somebody's looking for some small business help here in the DFW area, you can easily find me. So I'd love to be a resource and to assist any young entrepreneurs out there. Absolutely.
And vice versa. Anytime you need some help, whenever when the picnic is getting right back up, come on the show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll look forward to it, man. Thank you, sir.
All right, man.
Well, let me ask you this: if you one last Jew before you leave, if someone is watching this show and they say, you know what, I'm trying to be more involved and talkative and just be able to engage with people, strangers. I'm part of that stranger danger crowd where I'm just not comfortable walking up to people.
Right.
What tip will you give them to help them kind of grow into a path to be able to talk to anybody and actually network?
I would say at the end of the day, look inside yourself, right? Talk to God and understand what your gift is, and let your gift flow through you, right? Wow. Believe it or not, I was a shy person. Didn't like to get in front of people. Didn't like talking. Stumbled, stuttered. But I knew my gift was just being a kind, generous person, right? And connecting people. And so once I truly accepted what that gift was, truly embraced that gift. I went through a real bad divorce a couple years ago. But I realized my gift was connecting people through that experience, right? And once I fully embraced that gift coming out of that bad situation, I became a better person, a better father, a better corporate professional, a better business person, right?
Wow.
I'm a man of faith. I make no oins about that, and I will be a man of faith until I'm in the grave. But let God use you and find your gift, and once you have that gift, it will flow through you, and it will speak through you, and
That's
that's what it did for me, right? And when that happens, and when it hits you, the blessings will come down.
Yeah.
Right, but you have to be willing to listen, man, and embrace those things. I make no bones about it. I'm not perfect. I'm not, the worst person in the world. I just know what my gift is, right? And once you truly embrace that, man, step into it. Gabe
Well,
has a gift. This brother has
that's
a gift
amazing,
on
man.
here, and you have to
yeah.
step into it, man. Don't hold back, because if you do, you're going, you're going to be very, very miserable. And let him use you and guide you. I use the prep as my gift, the organization, the ability, the HR skills, the life lessons that I had, and it's put money in my pocket. It's put money in other individuals' pocket. It's improved my health. It's improved my livelihood. It's improved the
That's real.
livelihood of people I know and the people and complete strangers. And that's something that I'll never take for granted, and nobody can ever take away, because it was a gift from the man above.
That's beautiful.
I think everybody knows what their gift is. Some are just scared to execute it, and
There
you
you
got to
go.
you can't be scared. You know deep down inside that gift that God gave you, because you've been using it for so long and it's
Yes,
been
sir.
benefiting you for so long. You just
Yeah.
have to kind of step into it and own it,
There
and
you
walk
go.
with it. And that's a
Keyword.
hard part. That's the hard part where you got to jump. But you know what?
Mm-hmm.
You got one life. Make it happen.
Yes, sir. Amen. Amen.
Hey,
All
man,
right,
I couldn't have said it better myself. That's beautiful. Absolutely,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Words.
Calvin. Thank you so
Amen.
much. Thank you so much for hanging out. Let's get back to the party before it turns into a midnight party. And
Yeah.
tell the wifey thank you for letting us borrow you. Okay.
Yeah. No doubt. Hey, man, I appreciate it. Hey, Gabe, love you, brother. Take care, man.
Love you
Appreciate
too,
the
brother.
opportunity,
Thank
bro.
you.
Awesome.
Absolutely, man. Enjoy
All
your
Y'all
right.
have a
evening.
great evening. Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Yes,
Bye
Thank
bye.
sir.
you.
Yeah.
Wow, what an amazing conversation! A lot of great jewels right there. Networking is not an easy thing to do, but you have to. He sat there and said, "I wanted to." He had a vision,
Mm-hmm.
and he made it. He made it happen, and he stayed consistent with the vision. I think those are the major takeaways from this. Was
Yeah.
that there was no Greek life in Dallas, no major Greek life in Dallas. He wanted to put something together. He started reaching out, and you know what? Went out to the community. Didn't worry about the part of town it was in, and
Yeah.
just did it. He did it. Stayed consistent with it, and
Yeah.
then it took on a life of its own. So consistency is the major key out there, and reaching out to people in the community, the
That's
councilmen, and understanding, and don't build up this wall in your mind that these people are unreachable. You just got to stay consistent and persistent with it.
man. I think that's one of the most beautiful and amazing things that he said was, if I can't be safe around my own people, then who can I be safe around?
Yeah.
And I personally did not know that aspect of what he was doing, but when he said it, it spoke volumes, because truly and honestly, the neighborhood that he did this in, it it historically isn't the safest. It historically has its rough patches and its its issues. But the fact that he accepted those issues and he said, I'm going to use that as a reason to be here versus a reason to leave, is, man, it speaks volume about his character and the person that he is, and what he was able to create over this decade of what he's been doing with, as far as bringing people together.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
hats off.
on a deeper level, he was God was using him to
Mhm.
impact an area of town that needed to be impacted in a positive way. And this is another big, spiritual thing.
And who's to say that him doing that event in that part of town didn't spearhead the ideal that people can come into that part of town and develop and revitalize that area. I know he used the word gentrification, and it is some gentrification in the south sector, south side of Dallas, but there's still a lot of just redevelopment and giving back and ownership of the black community, minority community, holding on to property, holding on to businesses. So a lot of that is still going on. There is some gentrification, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but there is still a lot of ownership that is being taken place to preserve those areas And who's to say that wasn't a big impact that he brought to the table by showing that, hey, we can come together in this part of town and act civilized, have an amazing event, create hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of revenue. Because mind you,
bring money to the community.
Because I'm sure people was eating at restaurants and pumping gas and all kind of different things in that area throughout that point in time. Who's to say that he wasn't the catalyst that created that mindset?
Mm-hmm.
So man, hats off to him, man. Hats off to what
absolutely. You never know the impact that you're making when you're doing it, but when you stay consistent and persistent, and you got a vision, and you just getting out there and making it happen, you never know what your actions are doing to the people around you, in a positive way. And it seems like he definitely did that.
Absolutely.
Well, I hope you guys learned a lot on this one, the art of networking. Basically, get out there, get out of your comfort zone, go start talking to people, have a business plan, have a vision.
Don't be afraid, man.
And basically just, closed mouths don't get fed. So get out there, start talking to people, and start making things happen, and make your vision, turn your vision into a reality. Yes, I love it to see he saw a void, and he filled it.
Yep.
And he did it. He did it on his own, and then he brought the community in with it.
There you go.
You can't beat that. There's no other place than that.
You can't beat that. Hey, again, shout out to Dunn and all the amazing work that he's doing and he's done. How was the radio show going for you?
We are getting ready to be on the air in about a couple of weeks, man. So we're kind of just in rehearsals. I'm working with two young ladies who a millennial and a Gen Xer, and so we're kind of doing shows, getting into a rhythm with each other. But Don Amiche versus everybody is going to be hitting the airways very soon here in LA, and probably in a year on a national level. And so this is the very beginning of something interesting. I'm exhausted of talking. I can say that.
Wow. I mean, you have two women on your show. I'm almost certain that it's going to be a lot of defending and talking.
There is a lot of, listen, you don't understand what it's like trying to hold your own with two women from two different decades, two different generations coming at you. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, oh God,
you signed up for that, correct?
Huh?
You signed up for that.
I mean, I guess, I just.
You did.
Back in the 90s, I thought we were just going to talk to celebrities and give away keychains, but
you willingly signed up for that show.
I think that this radio show, because so every radio station I worked on throughout the course of my career has been a music-driven radio station. So it's R&B music, hip hop music, pop music, and I come in and talk and sell that. This is the first time where I'm actually the product of what people are listening to, and it's exhausting, but it's also going to be the biggest challenge of my career, and I'm up for it. So it's just Don Amiche 2.0.
Amen. And that's all that matters, is the fact that regardless of how exhausting it is, you are up for the challenge.
Well, that, and then on top of that, I'm working with great ownership. I'm going to be working with Tavis Smiley, who is an amazing man, who's created who's putting his money on the line, who's putting his reputation on the line, and is trying to create a product to reach all the people who were out in the streets protesting over the past year that want change in our society, and we're trying to be their mouthpiece and their voice on the airwaves. So I'm very, for that aspect of it, I cannot wait to start, because I cannot wait to be in the mix of change in this country and be a mouthpiece for people out there to help facilitate it, and to help change this country. So that's what we're going to be doing when we hit the airways. It's going to be great. A lot of great conversations. But yes, I'm going to be defending myself against two women.
Hey man, listen, you're built for it, so I believe in you. And hopefully, once this thing gets all rolling, man, I'd love to get Tavis Smiley on the show, man, and be able to pick his brain on some of the endeavors he's had and a lot of his whiskey kind of day moments. I'm sure he has a lot of them.
Oh, he's got a lot of them, and I'll make it happen. You just let me know when you want him on the show, and he'll be here. That's
awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, hey,
all right.
Shout out to D out of Shea Cigar Lounge. They letting us come out and do this thing. They offered this cigar up. This is a Dominican big leagues.
Okay.
And, it is extremely smooth. I'm enjoying it. As always, I'm feeling good. I'm gonna sit back and listen to some live music here in a minute. And man, listen, I'm just happy that you're still surviving, man, and you're doing your thing and you're growing. And everyone on here who's listening, man, could continue to do great things. I'm excited for all of us and what 2021 has to offer. The pandemic is starting to subside, but we're not out of it yet. So
Yes,
please be
ma'am.
take care of
Very
yourself
good.
and still do what you need to do to continue to do amazing things, man.
And one last thing, Gabe, is it has a shop in Dallas. If you're ever in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, FUBU Mobile, you need a cell phone, you need accessories, you need whatever you want. Where's the shop, and where can they go visit you at the shop?
2500 East Pioneer Parkway, Arlington, Texas. There's 2 miles shy of the Cowboy Stadium. Or you can find me on FUBUmobile.com. Real simple. Go to FUBUmobile.com and I can get you set up with a phone, get you set up with service, get you set up with accessories. Everything that your cell phone provider can do, I can do. I'm not gonna say I can do it better because I'm dealing with some big boys, but I can do it the exact same way, and it's me. Look at
You can't beat that.
you.
All
Can't
right. All right, Gabe. Have fun out at the Cigar Lounge until next whiskey kind of day. I'll catch you later. All right.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you, and thank you everybody for watching.